Welcome back to the Healthy Business Podcast. I'm Ty King with American Business Engine, and this is
Jessica Tolliver with Cam Collaborative.
How are you?
Hi. I'm good.
You good?
I'm good.
You got the yellow glasses on today.
I do have a headache.
Is that what that does?
Yeah, it takes the eye strain off, and if I'm going to be, especially if I'm going to be under bright lights, it helps narrow that down.
Just the yellow color, like everything's
It's
sort
a
of
blue
orangish. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it blocks the blue emits from the phones, and then the lights, and the fluorescence.
Oh.
Just takes the
I
strain
definitely
off.
need to get some of those. I've been
They're awesome. I
hearing
have
a
you
lot.
can borrow if you want to try them out.
Yeah.
They have the blue blockers that are clear. I like the yellow.
I'm gonna have to get some that are prescription though, because I wear glasses. So
They do have they make them in prescription. You can actually get them when you do get your glasses made. You can actually have them put that on there, or you can get aftermarket ones to have your prescription put in. Either way, they're really cool.
That's great. Awesome. Oh wow, it's been a crazy week, I'm sure, for you.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Insane. Like, I don't know, it's in the air, and it hasn't been just me. Like, Tuesday, no one could get to work on time. I was like 5 hours late.
Mm-hmm.
It was, it's one of those weeks, I guess.
It really has. I was talking to people, I think it was Monday, and I just telling them, I was like, man, I haven't slept well the past couple of days. Staying up at night, just by like laying in bed, trying to force myself to go to sleep, and then like I talked to everybody else, they're like, yeah, I was going through the same thing, and then some people are like, it's a moon thing, and I'm like, okay, I guess, I don't know, whatever it is.
Maybe it's a moon thing.
Sure.
There is some science to the moon thing, but that's for another day. But
right.
The weather changes aren't helping, because like I got up one morning and I'm like, oh, it's a nice day, and then by that afternoon, I was blue. I mean, it was just so cold.
Awesome. So I just got back from a trip to Fayetteville, visited a couple of clients. One of them is in the middle of nowhere.
There's a lot of that.
Pretty much, yeah. But it's crazy as you'll see what they build. They build a warehouse and like they're manufacturing a brand T-shirts, hats, and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it's all Arkansas-based type of stuff, and it's very interesting. Some great people too. Stayed with them a couple of days, just dedicated full days to be like, I'm going to help you get your system going here, and then work on the website and be like, okay, so what is on this end? And it's interesting. It was fun. I guess that's the best part of my job, is going around and being able to change it up. But be like, okay, how do you run your system? When an order comes in, I'm like, so far what she had been doing is like just putting, when a new design comes in, she'll make a post on Facebook, and then everybody messages her so that she can process orders. And then she's like, what's your address? Okay, I'm going to send you an invoice.
It's only
now
a little,
Now I've got to figure out what your taxes are for your county and your state. Now I've got to figure out what the shipping rate is. And it's like, man, you're spending an hour trying to process this order that it's something that can be automated online. You know what I mean?
Right.
So trying to get all that whole system put down into the website. We're using Shopify is what we use this time. And then using her printers there to process orders. She already had a POS system, so I was like, let's just use this. And so, anyways, it was wild and got closer. We got about 90% there over 2 days. So yeah, that was great. Visited another client, did a full photo shoot of their facility and the staff and all that stuff. And so then it started snowing.
Oh.
And so I was like, I am, 100 and something miles away from home. I have got to get going now. Let's wrap these photos up, and I'm gone. So, yeah.
Excellent.
I was on the highway. So, today's also exciting.
Is it?
Different reason. Okay. It is. Today, you probably don't know what this is, but Horizon Forbidden West came out today, and I'm really, really excited to sit down and play that. You don't have any idea what that is, but it's a good thing.
I bet it's music.
Yes. No, it's not. It's a game.
Oh, okay.
So
I play games. I'm just not a gamer.
It's one of the PS5 game that came out, so nice. I'm very excited about it. It's a sequel to the first one.
So riddle me this.
Yes.
I like playing these little games, and I like playing the quiz quests or whatever.
Yes.
With my husband on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I mean, like Baldur's Gate's the only thing out there that you can get. Why is it that none of these game manufacturers make multiplayer, in-home games? Like you can't have cooperative play at home.
Are you talking about mobile?
No, I'm talking about my couch. Like PS3, PS4.
Oh, you're talking about like back in the day when we had split screen, type of thing?
No, like you can both be on the screen at the same time. Like, so I obviously haven't played it, but there's a game called Baldur's Gate. It's got a couple different renditions of it. We love playing that game, but there's no new games that are like that. It's very hard to find a cooperative play with like the guy next to you.
Both of you are on the screen at the same time. Got you.
Running around doing some stuff, and
I don't know. The industry has just changed so much, and like everything is usually through an online portal now. And so like you'll have your own account, they'll have their own account, and like you can log on 2 different systems inside your house and then join in the same lobby and go to the game together. But
I don't want to do that. I want to put in a disc and play my game.
There is a game. There is a game. I think it's called It Takes Two.
Okay.
And it's sort of it's fun, but it's also about this couple that's sort of being torn apart. Well, like, so they're knit, like little knit people.
Okay.
Right. Somebody crocheted these people together.
Full on
like
knitting.
real knit.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But they're bonded together by like one string, right?
Okay.
One strand. But they live in the house where this man and his wife, or they're not really getting along, and they're contemplating a divorce. And so I know it gets into like some serious tones, but it's really light and happy and all this. But it explores some interesting different things there. But like both of you are on there, so one player will be the male version of the knit, another one will be the female version. You're having to figure out these puzzles together.
And you have to, and you're connected, so you can't like one person get upstairs, downstairs. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So you're having to figure out how to work together and like how to work things out really in a relationship at the same time. It's really cool.
Funny. All right.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. I still like to like throw. I'm always obviously I'm a chick. I'm the wizard or whatever. I'm always throwing spells from a distance because I don't want to get killed. So I do like that. But
so you're long distance.
I am. I got this. I heal everybody. that's the woman's job. Like in Dungeons and Dragons, there's always that one healer, and she's always a chick. I heal everyone, and then I make everyone stronger, and I do all of the little spells and stuff like that, and that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll play the barbarian, and I go in there, and I'm like, I'm not really good at that.
Yeah. You're not the tank. It just goes in there and
I've tried it. I've
runs
really
over everyone.
It, but anyhow.
Yeah.
All right, so that's not even on topic. Actually, it kind of is.
Well, it kind of is.
Oh,
yeah.
is it?
Yeah, it kind of is. So I was going to bring up, okay, so before you got in business and when you got in business, and so like some things formed an idea of like what it was to be in business. And I know we've had several different topics like this, but I think last week we were talking about a few different things that had influenced the way you see things, right? So if you've never been on a plane and then you watch a movie about people on a plane, and let's not say airplane because that's a terrible example, but like
snakes on a plane?
Yeah, snakes on a plane or something like that. But you see how people react, and like usually, you sit down and there's some stranger you never met that they may just be rude and want to sleep the whole time, or maybe they're the chattiest person and you fall in love and that's your soulmate.
Right.
Depending on which movie you watched, and then you take you go on a plane and you realize, this is not how it is at all, because people are usually like, then they go into their thing. And it's like they don't have any business for you, unless they get a few drinks in them. But yeah. So when you saw like whether it be movies, games, media, magazine ads, walking past, something in the mall, maybe a display. I was trying to think of a company that does that, and I'm like, I'm so far out of the loop in that, so I have no idea. I was like J. Cole, I don't know, maybe. Anyways, if you walk past and so like you get an impression of like what it is to be a business owner or be into business and professional. So what are some of those things, and like how are they different of what actually happened whenever you started a business?
Well, so my background is a little different in that I've been technically a business owner for a long time, even when I wasn't. So when I was younger, probably my late 20s, I don't know, I'm old now, I was an independent contractor, so that made me a business owner. And even though I was working for someone as doing employee type stuff, I still had to manage my money and manage certain things like a business owner. And so I had to learn a lot of that early on. So when I went in to actually do my own business, I had a little bit of a background of how a business was run, because I was not only working for a business and they did their thing, and I learned from them, but I also had to operate a little bit as a business for my thing. So I did have a little bit of a kindergarten, so to speak, into business owning. So you're asking like, what was the difference when I actually said, okay, I'm now going to be a business? I don't know. I mean, I will say that with my profession that I'm in now, I had an idea about where I was going when I started school, and then that changed in school. And then I got out of school, I'm like, whoa, this isn't the world. And I am 100 miles away from where I started, other than having the same license.
Right.
So there's that, and then everything's changed. It's not just things that I've learned as far as dealing with people, I remember the first time I rented commercial space, that was, I know it sounds like not a big deal, but for me, it was the most pressure I'd been in business ever up to that point.
Wow.
Because I understand it.
Yeah.
And I can rent an apartment. I can buy a house. I
Sure.
can do a lot. I bought cars. I've rented. I can do all kinds of stuff. But because I had zero experience in commercial real estate, and it is a little different, I was just mortified. I mean, I was just terrified of doing the wrong thing.
Right.
So that was scary.
I think so. Some of the things that, so I guess some of the touchdowns when I think about it, of like things I was exposed to as a kid that made me think. Okay, so for context, grew up in very, very rural areas. You know what I mean, where we didn't have nobody dressed in a suit. Nobody had it. If it was a shirt with a lapel, they didn't have it. You know what I mean? So. We're talking about some backwoods Arkansas hillbilly stuff I was growing up around, for most of the part, and then the other part was Texas, in near Tyler, and so which did have it, and so it would be a huge contrast every time we moved. It would go back and forth, and it was like just the middle of nowhere, in the woods. We had to worry about if it rains, is our driveway going to be flooded out to going over here to Tyler, and I don't know what the biggest worry there was. Like, is it going to be too cold for the roses to grow for the rose garden? You know what I mean? That type of thing. Yeah, I guess some of the touchstones are like some of the movies that I watched earlier, and I think you know what? I think I gained my my belief of like what a business owner could look like through Jurassic Park. Okay, so John Hammond, who started the park.
Spare no expense.
Yes, and like how everybody kept going in, telling me he was crazy, you know what I mean, you can't be doing this, but like he grew this huge thing, and he was like, I think it was just like the excitement, and like you could see it in his eyes, and like, I've got this huge idea, and this is beautiful, this is crazy, and you're crazy for not believing me, but you're going to, you know what I mean, that type of thing. I was like, I love that. Gave me that kind of energy. So there's that. There's also, remember American Psycho? You ever seen that? And so it does get like that a little bit sometimes. Especially when it comes to like business cards. And like Tara, my wife, will point it out all the time because it'll be like having a networking meeting with somebody and we'll exchange cards. And I'm like, oof, oh man, that's a thick card. That's nice. It's got perforated too and all this stuff. She's like, you sound like American Psycho. Or you guys like, ooh, this business card. And like everybody's just comparing it like crazy. But yeah. So like it's a little funny, but I mean it gets a little crazy like that, but not like if you are obsessed with dressing a certain way, like we've dressed before, or thinking, okay, I've got to comb my hair to this part and this side, you know what I mean? Because that's what business people look like and stuff, and it's like that's so boring to me. I hate that.
Now that you've gone down your path a little bit, I understand. Maybe you understand, but I've sparked some ideas. So my evolution has occurred on two rails. I mean, there was the personal evolution as well as the business evolution. So as I was changing who I was and becoming less of a person that was not a very good person, I was a pretty awful person when I was young. Because I mentioned this to a lot of people, and I'm going to touch on it real quick. I learned everything I learned about relationships early on from sitcoms. And if you look at sitcoms, the recipe is a strong woman is the head of the household. She is the smart person who does all the things right. The husband is an oaf, and she treats him as such, but they love each other at the end. Right. And, if you walk into a relationship thinking that you're going to treat someone like that, it doesn't actually turn out well for you. Right, exactly. Fun fact. So as I started learning how to communicate and learning that, other people have feelings and things like that, I started becoming a better person. That being said, things like Working Girl, if you remember that movie, where you have these high-powered executive women. Yeah. Early on, that's what I thought I wanted to be. Okay. I thought I wanted to be dressed to the nines. Yeah. Respected. Yeah. Mean. Know everything. Hammer down. Hard-nosed. This is the hardest executive you can think about. And that also is not a very good person.
It's not. It's not like you may have a lot of money, but then it makes you a miserable human being. And like the more you become that, the more miserable you
So
are.
as I started realizing that that's a bad way to be as a person, I also realized that that's not what I wanted for my business.
Yeah.
So I'm not that person.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Well, glad you're not. You probably wouldn't be sitting here with me now.
Exactly. I don't know. And so I guess I just thought that that's how a woman had to be in business in order to be successful.
Sure.
And it wasn't until I got into the real world and started realizing that what I'm seeing on TV isn't reality.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know that's dumb and it's more from the line of obvious.
Yes.
But in reality, a lot of young people are shaped by what they see on media, whether it be, we're in a new world now, so we're getting a lot of streaming and stuff like that from ads and social platforms that I didn't have growing up. But I still had that bombardment of what things should be, and they weren't.
Yeah, and not just young people, just people in general. If you're not exposed to like the truth of what those archetypes are what are being portrayed on TV, then yeah, you're gonna believe that's what it is. Same thing for I go through this all the time for like people. You see people that don't have a touchstone for someone that's gone to prison, and then they get out, and then you're like, oh god, that's a horrible human being. They went to prison. And so, like, the only thing they have to touch on is, like, Oz or, The Wire or something like that, you know what I mean? And trying to connect, like, what they've seen.
Orange is the New Black
like,
is not prison.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I don't know, it forms an idea that in your subconscious, and you don't realize that it's happening, but it's actually forming your, your opinion on things, even though you're not the one coming up with it.
Right.
But like you think you did because it's in your brain, so you must have thought of that, right? No.
Exactly. Well, I mean that's a very strong point about being mindful about what you expose yourself to, because even if you're not saying I'm going to be like that person, you get an idea of what that person is, and that becomes part of your autobiographical understanding of the world.
Yeah. So yeah, that goes for anything, but like especially if you expose yourself to something that's like, if you're thinking about going into business, then probably like there are some movies and shows that you can watch that are like, okay, these are great examples of what not to be.
Right.
Like Wolf of Wall Street, great movie, but terrible person. Don't ever be this person.
Don't be that.
Yes. Yeah. And you see what happened. But like people see some of that, sometimes, and they're like, man, I could do that, making millions and millions of dollars, and it's like, okay, great, and you can run a Ponzi. You can run a Ponzi scheme. You can do whatever you want to, but there are consequences to all that. You're not gonna be a happy person. So it's like, why even put yourself through that? Silicon Valley. You ever seen that show?
I have not, but I'm familiar with the whole thing that went down.
That's good. In the tech, going behind the scenes of the tech industry and like how things are being developed and stuff like that. And so it's a way. I think it's a more realistic type of view of how business goes. Even though it's, of course, anything that's episodic, they have to be telling a story, right? So not everything in there is reality. So stop believing that.
Reality TV is not reality.
You have to have characters that have development, and then something happens to them.
There has to be conflict.
Yes,
everything just can't work.
Yeah, exactly. So the hero story: you meet a conflict, you're down for a little bit, you learn how to get over it, boom, and then by the end of the episode, you're on a cliffhanger for the next one or for the next.
But
conflict.
enough resolution so that
So in that aspect, I mean, it is good because you're constantly running into things as a business owner or professional whatsoever. You're always running into some sort of conflict that you could overcome. But I mean, is it gonna be as realistic as something on a TV show? Probably not. But it'll feel very dramatic. Yeah, exactly.
My husband and I joke about how if we were a TV show, I mean, it would be over in 5 minutes because it'd be like, here's a conflict. All right, let's solve it. Done.
Yeah. Right. That's the show, guys.
Right. And that's a part of that is because we've worked through a lot of conflict resolution. But you see some people that are more animated about their lives.
That's a great way to put it. You're more animated about life.
But even that, you're still not running into what you see on TV. You're not running into a TV, an old streaming movie, whatever your phone, your device. Yeah. Whatever what sells isn't really what's going to happen.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Jobs. You ever seen that about Steve Jobs?
Yes. I was trying to think of the title of it so I could mention it, but I couldn't. Yes. That's actually a very interesting. It's an interesting story about him, but it's also an interesting story if you pull back from him and see what else is going on.
For sure. And then there's some that'll like give you an impression of like, well, this is what this place is like, because they'll incorporate real world places. Like The Interview. You ever seen that with Vince Vaughn? Okay, so he and what's the other guy's name? He's always in movies with him. Anyways, but they go for an interview. They're watch salesmen, right? Okay, and then all of a sudden nobody wants an old clock face because everybody wants digital watches. It's a comedy, but I mean. Then so they're like, okay, well, let's interview through Google because they see an ad, and so they end up getting on Google campus, and they're like the oldest guys there, of course, because everybody's, But it's sponsored by Google, so like everything is actually filmed on the campus, but like it's all the bright and shiny parts. You know what I mean? We have our hammocks over here where people are sleeping pods. You know what I mean? Like all the racquetball court, that type of stuff, but. They won't show the actual any kind of drama that actually happens there, which I'm sure they have a huge HR department.
Oh, I'm sure, and they don't show the mundane either, and that's the thing that some people don't understand is that sometimes it's just boring. Yeah. Sometimes it's just monotonous, and
well, that's like the Office. I guess that'd be an example.
I've only watched a few episodes.
Are you serious?
I think you have to work in an office to get it.
I don't think so.
See, I just when I started watching it, I was already doing this. I was out of the office, and like I don't have to deal with those people, so they don't identify.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I know people that do watch it, and most of them have been in offices or are in offices, and they can identify with those characters. So, but I have seen some of it. But the mundane, the slow. There's sometimes when you're just sitting there and you're just waiting for the next thing to happen, or you do the same thing every day in a row, and nothing exciting happens, and that's okay. Yeah. At some point, you're gonna be like, "Oh man, that was a great day. What happened? Nothing."
I have no idea what that's like. You know what I mean? I'm thinking here. I'm like, yeah, okay. What's my I don't have one. Oh my god. It's like it's always just constantly changing. I'm always either on the road going to something else or meeting somebody new, or which is fun, but it definitely exhausting. Yeah. So it's. Interesting, I guess. Keeps it interesting. Like I said, the trip I just took, right? So spending time out in Ozark, Arkansas, I mean, and then Fayetteville, and then coming back down here trying to race away from the snow and stuff. I mean, it's like this stuff happens all the time. And now, like, I would like a day of rest. I would like today. I would just sleep in, but I can't do that. It's Friday, and I've got clients that are waiting. We got to record this. I've got a meeting after this, and actually 2 meetings, and so crazy. Well, was that just me venting, or was I actually on point? I don't know. I think I lost the lost the subject there somewhere.
That's part of it. I think that understanding that sometimes it's just go. Yeah. It's all. I would recommend highly anyone who wants to open a business who doesn't have experience either working for someone else in that industry or have some experience in that at all to shadow someone. Yeah. To find a mentor in that industry that will let you come in and see what's kind of going on and see what they're doing. Sure. If someone's not willing to share that, then they're not going to be a success. Yeah. Because if you're walking around with closed fists, you're only going to be so successful. And if you open your hands, sure, people are going to take some of your ideas, but you're going to be open to accept new stuff. So find someone who's doing pretty good at what they're doing that's similar to what you want to do, and ask them questions. Yeah. And that's one of the things that the leads groups and things like that, I got more out of those from the one-to-one learning about the businesses than I ever did from any type of referral. Different story. But that was invaluable information to learn about how these businesses operated, and more times than not, that's what I don't want to do. Yeah. But I had to be exposed to that to decide that's what I didn't want to do or what I did want to do.
For sure. Yeah. So anything else on this subject that you want to bring up?
About misconceptions about starting a business?
How about anything? Anything on your mind? How about that?
Well, even in this media room, we were talking. I had an idea. Yeah. And that is not where we are. However, it's improving each time. Like last episode, apparently I was completely washed out. It was as white as this cup, and the lighting was bad, and
I had to change the lighting. Yeah.
And now it's better. I can see the picture right now, and now I look a little more Asian, like I'm supposed to be.
Instead of a paper person. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, when I first saw this room, it was completely empty. So,
Oh, and I had a
now look
vision,
at it.
and this is not the vision. But however,
Yeah.
it's better than the vision.
Right. It is, and it'll keep getting better than this. Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. Little improvements. Like I said, you've been so busy this week. Like we haven't had any improvements this week, but like it's been consistent. Like every week, it's something new. It's like, oh, we have a new switch over here. We have this. The sign outside the door that tells whenever we're recording
I'm so
now.
excited
Lets
about that.
people
I had
know.
to order it from overseas, and it took forever. But the ones that were available in the United States, that we could the Amazon 3D shipping, just didn't say what I wanted it to say. And I know that's silly, and it wasn't expensive, and I just wanted it to say a certain thing and have a certain feel, and it was worth it to me to wait 3 weeks for shipping.
What does this one say? Recording in progress or something like that? Is that what it
Like
says?
that,
Okay.
A lot of them were like live or just things like.
We're live. Yeah.
And it's not always going to be live.
No.
And I realize that's a detail, but
that would drive me crazy too, though. So
just
I
knowing it isn't accurate.
Yeah, right.
I wanted it to be, and that's the thing about everything in my business is I wait for what feels right.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't have lighting in a certain area because I want to find the thing that feels right, or I don't have, when I did the walls, certain things. It's been slow. I did the green screen, and I didn't like that one, so I did a different, and just all these different little things. I just keep doing them until they feel right. And that sign felt right. I spent way too much time on the interwebs looking around for eBay, Amazon, just out there until I got an idea of what I wanted it to say, and then I had to find a sign that said it, and then I had to find one in my price range because I didn't want to spend $1 bazillion on just a goofy little sign. And now we have it.
Nice. Well, like I said, it'll keep getting better, and we'll advance the room and hopefully expand into a bigger place after this. And then, it'll be awesome. So yeah, I think like you said, be careful what you put in front of your eyes and your ears, and like what you hear about. Like it could also be like your perception of like what a millionaire looks like, because
most business owners don't walk around like
I got money.
Right? They're not just they're doing the things that the guys do, and I say guys, but I mean
nobody's
guys, gals,
advertising
whatever.
that.
Your real successful guys, you couldn't tell. They're like usually average people.
Well, I used to tell I was like, okay, well, you're a millionaire whenever, like, you would see, like, award shows, right, or red carpet events, and you'd see somebody pull up a music artist, usually, or a movie star or whatever, and they would come up, and then they have, like, the butterfly doors that would come up. They're dressed very nice. They had, the very nicely dressed date, and yada, 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 yada. Who are you wearing? Oh, I'm wearing this. I never realized until I was older that like it's all sponsored stuff. It's not. It's made to like make you look flashy and rich and all that stuff. But like the car is not theirs.
The clothes usually aren't even theirs.
Somebody donated that. The clothes are definitely not theirs because those like Tom Ford, he does it a lot, or Versace or anybody. They'll, hey, you will here's a suit for you to wear, and then like it advertises for them. Same thing with jewelry. And so, like most of the stuff that they have that they're walking around with, it's like it's not even theirs. It's just something that somebody, another company is trying to get free advertising from.
So one of my earlier things that I did a million years ago was I was a private investigator in California.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we would do between investigating people was process serving, and that's where you take court documents to someone and say you've been served. And it's nothing like on TV also. However, being in California, I did find myself in those neighborhoods having to serve process on people that are rich and famous.
Oh.
And that actually gave me some insight into the fact that, these are just houses with people.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not lifestyles of the rich and famous that you see on TV. These are just, the bigger the artist, the longer the driveway and
right.
things
The nicer
like
the
that.
house, yeah.
But in reality, they're still four walls, glass windows. It's just a thing. Most of them are not the cliffside things you see when in all of those movies, but it just neighborhoods with people. Yeah.
I mean, everybody, and I don't care how much of a godly complex you have about yourself either, because like there are lots of artists that do that. So like a documentary came out about Kanye West this past week, and it was so apparently he had somebody following him around with a camcorder since the beginning of his career.
Oh, really?
And like never released any of the footage or anything, and so they finally compiled it and made it into a documentary. But like people were so thrown off by seeing Kanye West just sitting in a Burger King and like eating a meal out of a bag. You know what I mean? I was like, why? I think we
think that
like
it's going to be a 12-course meal for every event. And they still use they drink milk out of the carton too.
Yeah, silver, gold cutlery and everything. I was like, no, they're human beings. I don't understand why do we lift some human beings up in the sky?
I think part of it is perception
mimic.
because when we see them, their face fills up the whole screen, and we're giving them 100% of our attention, and that makes them bigger.
Okay.
And then they play these roles of people that are bigger. They play the Wall Street executive. They play these people, and so we put some of that character into who we think they are. And I think that I think it's really on point with the topic today is, what you see isn't really what you get when it comes to perception of what's going on. Like, we're business owners. We're not millionaires. We work hard for what we're doing. We still have to come in and do the drag every day. I'm not made of money. Sure, I invest a lot in my business, so I have nice things, but that's because I take a very small percentage of the profits so that I can invest back in the business. And if you're looking at someone who's successful and you think that, they must be making money hand over fist, it's not necessarily true.
And it's about being smart with your money, what you do.
Yeah, you can't just go open a business and buy top-of-the-line everything and expect just because you have the stuff to be successful. Which I see that a lot. People take out these big loans and buy all this stuff before they get a feel for the business, before they get the clientele, before they get any type of foundation. And those are usually the ones that don't do well.
Sure. Yep. Absolutely. I was like thinking, all the different ways I save money. It's like kind of I like to pride myself on that, I guess. I was like, I'm very good with like being thrifty and finding ways of like, rather than spending money, let's do this instead.
Right.
So.
Well, when we first moved into this space, I knew I wanted a front desk.
Yeah.
And I was looking and trying to find out what I wanted because in my other space I didn't have a desk, and I'm like, oh my God, these are so expensive. And my assistant, she gets on Facebook Marketplace and she finds this thing and she's like, that's it. I'm like, ooh, it was bad. And then she brings it in, she cleans it up, she paints it, she puts some things on it. All of a sudden we get more compliments on it. It's furniture, and it was free. I mean, we invested like $10 into cleaning it up.
Your front desk over here? That was free? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow, it looks really nice.
Right?
Right, yeah.
And it was in someone's garage, and it was in rough shape.
Crazy.
But a little elbow grease. Now, like I said, we get more compliments on that than anything.
Well, see, that's how I have my office in my house. Free desk, and there was a bureau with it and all that stuff. They were just like trying to renovate, get new furniture, and I was like, there's nothing wrong with this stuff. I will come pick it up right now. And so that's what happens,
Yeah, exactly.
So, yes, being smart with your money, not just being getting your first few checks from clients or your business, and then being like, okay, now I'm gonna blow it all on something that I've wanted my entire life.
Like, you got a 90-inch TV for the entryway. No.
Yeah.
Don't start there.
No. If you find a great deal on one, then that's different. You know what I mean? If there's one for free on Marketplace,
right?
then maybe you can go do that. But yeah. Anything else you wanted to add here? Sorry.
No, actually, I thought this topic was really not that there's art. This is fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Got me thinking about my path and how I got here.
Sure. Yeah. Me too. So it's like there's still things that'll just come up throughout that. We'll talk about different kinds of subjects all the time. But then after, like, when I'm going back through here and editing, like I'll listening to the show all over again, and then like it'll key other things, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is crazy, like something like from my teenage years or whatever, you know what I mean? When I was dressing out all goth and stuff, but I was still watching these movies and like got impressions, or like I ran into this type of person or had this encounter. And so yeah, it's crazy how relevant like everything is that we talk about, and then we'll have to reflect on it again later. Like you'll remember stuff. You're like, I should have talked about that. But
always another episode.
Yeah, there's always more. And so still working toward that 30 mark.
Yep.
That's what we're.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. And hopefully have some new things to tie in. We'll have to talk about that. But yeah.
Yeah.
For the podcast in the future. So if you are I was about to say a visual listener. That's not right though. If you're watching this, how about that? If you're watching this on YouTube, then we are on all of your podcasting services. If you're an audio listener, of course you can come watch us at YouTube. Someday we'll have our own personal URL for YouTube, and we'll be able to give that out. But until we have the subscribers that we need, which is what we're working for, then just search for us on YouTube. But yeah.
And when you find us, subscribe.
Yes, subscribe. Like all the fun stuff that you love to hear from everybody that podcasts, right?
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, leave comments, all the things, right? But yeah, hopefully have some different things we can tie into the podcast itself.
Absolutely. And as our audience grows, we're going to start getting questions.
Yes.
We'll have a mailbag, so get in on that.
Mailbag.
I always want a mailbag.
If you have a physical mailbag in here, we need to breed that prop.
I will.
You'll probably find that free on Marketplace.
Right. Hey, Lena, I need a mailbag.
Sure. Okay. Whatever you want it for. So until next time, you'll say bye.
Bye.
All right, and keep your business healthy.